Alrighty, all. So we are again balancing equations today. A little bit of a different format. We are going to be completing a find someone who, and then can balance the chemical equation. So if you're online, you'll click this link right here and you'll do it in your notebook. It'll bring you up to a find someone who can balance the chemical equations. For some reason, my computer is having issues opening the copy, which is weird. There we go. So you are going to have to put the coefficient into the equation to make them balance. You're going to do this by adding little arrows, just like I did, and boxes to put your numbers in. So in an ideal world, you'd be able to write this all out, but instead you're just going to make these boxes. Here's how you do it. So remember, to balance chemical equations, you follow, actually I wrote it up on the board for you nice and easy the other day. It's not what we want. So there's a video right here of me balancing a couple of your equations from yesterday. That's a really good video if you're confused. I go through all of the steps and teach you how it is that we balance these chemical equations. I've done a couple of the harder ones with you. Well, the first one wasn't really hard, the second one was kind of. And as well as I put a picture of what we've written on our board, our 3 steps to balancing chemical equations. Remember, the first step is to ID the reactants and the products, or to separate them. Second step is to make this list right here. And many of you skip step 2 because you think you can do it in your head. And for right now, yes, you can do it in your head, but eventually these are going to get harder, so I want you to get in the habit of writing this down. Step 2 is important. You need to write down what you have. So you identify that I have potassium, I have bromine, and I have chlorine in my reactants. I have 1 atom of potassium, 1 atom of bromine, and 2 atoms of chlorine. So I go ahead and I write those down. They're what's written in pink right here for both the reactants and the products. And then step 3 is to add coefficients until your reactants equal your products. So if I looked at these, do my K's equal my K? That's what I mean when I say balanced. And in the pink version, it did. And then I look at my B's. Did my B's equal my B's? Nope, they didn't in my pink version. And my chlorines, did my chlorines match my chlorine? And the answer is no. So it's not balanced. Therefore, you need to add coefficients. You will occasionally come up across some chemical equations that are already balanced without coefficients at all. This was not such thing. So then you go through and you try to balance them out. Generally, I start with something that is smaller. For example, I see that I have 2 chlorines on my reactant side. I know I need to have at least 2 on my product side. I'm going to add a coefficient that changes my chlorine to 2 instead of 1. So the very first thing I did was write a 2 in front of my potassium, and that indeed, my potassium chloride, KCl. That indeed balanced it out. It gave me 2 chlorines, but that created another problem. I now, instead of having 1 potassium, or K, like I wanted, I have 2 now. So that's why I crossed out the 1 and put a 2 right there. So we're still not balanced, and at that point my bromine wasn't balanced either. So I now need to go over to the reactant side because my chlorine is fine, I don't want to touch it anymore, and I've got more boron on this side, so I need to try to find a way to make more boron on the reactant side. I can do this by adding a 2 coefficient right over here by potassium and bromine, and then what do you know, that changes this to having 2 potassium bromines, 2 potassiums, and 2 bromines, and then we're all balanced. This video right here goes through it much smoother with you, and in real time you can see me write it out, which is great. So that is a great resource to help you out. Some of you are really struggling with this. Back to this assignment today though. Today I want you to write down your balanced coefficients. So we're gonna zoom in a little bit so we can see. Maybe go over a little bit so we can see a little bit more. So the first step that you would do is to list what you have in a text box. So I would list that I have Na equals 3, P equals 1, O's equal 4, but I have some O's from right here, so I've actually got 5 O's. I've got K equals 1, and in H equals 1. And then I do the same thing for the product side, and then I figure out where I'm unbalanced. Then I come in and I try to put some coefficients in here to try and balance the equations out. That's what these boxes are. In order to get full credit, you need to have these listed out as well as your coefficients. If you only have the coefficients, I'm only giving you partial credit because quite honestly, you could Google the coefficients and the reactions and you would find them. What you can't Google is this right here. You can't make this skill up. So I know that once you've got this part down, you actually understand what you're doing. Until you do that, I have no idea that you know what you're doing or if you just Googled the answers. So this part needs to be done. This worksheet is best if you do it with pencil paper. I know all of you don't have access to printing, so you can do it like this with the text boxes and putting your equal signs and changing them as you go through. Or if you wanted, you could recreate this paper on your own piece of paper, like problem 1. You would write down problem number 1, and then you'd write down what you've got, and then you'd put your coefficients in, and you'd write this down. This would be a really good project to do with somebody. So if you've got a buddy maybe that is also online, or you want a little help, this would be a great idea or a great thing to do with a friend. That would really help you out. The original purpose of this was to do as a whole class, but since some of you are not face-to-face with us, we can't do that. If you are completing this on time with us in Zoom, I'll go over all of this tomorrow as well. So this is a skill that you've got to have. So if you're struggling with this, I need to know, but I also need to know that you're using all the resources. So have you watched? First question to you is going to be, have you watched this video? Have you watched this video? Have you watched the video you're currently watching right now? If your answer is yes, we'll have some time and I'll make some more videos for you, balancing equations. But really and truly, the knowledge comes with practice. So the more you practice this skill, the better you're going to be at it and the easier this is going to be for you. All right, guys, if you have questions, as always, email me. Have a great day.